There are some individuals who took advantage of the small business loans that were part of the coronavirus relief package that probably shouldn't have touched that money. So we're gonna tell you a little more about who they are and why we think it's a bad idea to take advantage of this money that was supposed to be used for small businesses to entice them to keep their employees on payroll. This was supposed to eventually help actual workers, but in some cases, that's not what happened. Now we're finding out that people ranging from bachelorette stars to non-existent orange farm owners in Minnesota took full advantage of the program. As Vice News reports, Taisha Adams, who's co-hosting the current season of The Bachelorette, after starring as the Bachelorette in 2020, got a $20,833 PPP loan for her LLC. And then there are other examples. Arnie, an ex-bachelor, also received over $20,000 in a PPP loan alongside his wife, Lauren Burnham, Lewandike, I think, Lewandike. They shared Arizona-based LLC. Their shared Arizona-based LLC is called Instagram Husband LLC. Okay, so you know what they are? They post things online. They're influencers.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Meaning they're self-employed. They're self-employed. They're self-employed. Like, what are they doing?
Well, they're together. It's beautiful. You know it because his hand is going out into the photo and hers is drawing it in towards the beach. So
yeah, those are,
they're not
right.
solo.
That does take a lot of work.
Well, I mean, it's something.
Takes a lot of work.
By the way, in reading about this, apparently there are a number of companies called Instagram Husband. It's like not even an original name for a company. There's a bunch of them.
Can you do that? Can you have multiple LLCs under the same name?
It depends on what state it's in and stuff like that. Little variations on the name, but that's a basic idea.
That's great. That's awesome. Yeah. By the way, these LLCs are described as if they're meant for independent artists, writers, and performers, which it's just a fancy way of saying that they're online influencers. That's what they do. But think about it. They took over $20,000 in PPP loans, which were intended for companies that have employees in an effort to prevent them from firing or laying off those employees. That's not what happened here. Anyway, okay, let me give you more. These are the more egregious examples, if you ask me. One other company that is a target of a federal investigation is known as Kabbage. It's an online lending platform that handed out hundreds of thousands of PPP loans. In fact, 75% of all the loans that Kabbage issued actually had no human to review it. Sounds like what the housing market was like prior to the 2008 collapse. They issued about 378 PPP loans worth about $7 million to fake farms that just don't exist. There was an orange grove farm in Minnesota, for instance. We don't grow oranges in Minnesota. There were a number of farms in Ocean County, New Jersey, which is a beach community. It doesn't have farms, and that's a statement from Dr. Craig Holman from the Public Citizen organization.
I don't know what you want. Like, without the $7 million, we might never grow oranges there. At least now we have a chance, a fighting chance for Mideastern citrus.
These are just fake companies.
Yeah, totally. No, but doesn't it seem like with the orange thing that like they're kind of like trying to like see how far they can go? Why would you say that? Just say it's for potatoes or beets or something. Yeah, I think it's not even about the money.
Like, ooh, like getting goosebumps. Like, ooh, how much can how can I scam the federal government at a time when people are desperate for financial relief? These people are awful.
Yeah.
Absolutely awful. So when Kabbage was reached for comment, it was impossible to get in touch with anybody. Their line actually was disconnected. Congress also recently announced an investigation into the role of fintech firms and partner banks for the same reason. So let me give you those details. Fintech industry and its bank partners have been linked to a disproportionate number of fraudulent PPP loans, raising questions about whether fintechs and their bank partners have adequately screened PPP loan applicants for fraud. By the way, like where's the Republican Party that loves to just annihilate any type of social safety net program by arguing that it's waste, it's government waste, it's full of fraud? I guess fraud's okay in some instances, right?
Well, in their defense, they probably would have blocked literally all of this if they could have, and then we wouldn't have had the fraud, and a lot of other people would die. Yeah, I mean, the issue there is with the financial tech companies, like, in theory, you would want to screen these if there were some sort of regulations wherein if you passed a certain percentage or absolute dollar amount of fraud, it might be an indication that you're being purposefully lax and there might be some sort of financial fines for you or something. I don't know for sure, but I'm gonna guess those things don't exist. What I will guess probably does exist is that these financial tech companies make some amount of money off of each of the loans that they're able to get.
Totally, yep.
So why would they want to screen them more carefully? It's a bonanza and they're skimming a bit off the top of it.
It's so frustrating. A WCNC Charlotte investigation found tens of thousands of dollars also went to farms in North Carolina and South Carolina with names that aren't even registered businesses. Some had addresses that led to abandoned buildings and empty fields. So final piece of info for you guys on this, because what's the dollar amount? As far as we know at this moment, how much money was scammed from this PPP program?
Well, and can I also say, as I was doing all of your reading, until I read what you're about to say, I mostly thought, how much do I actually care about this? But then,
look at this guy, John, proponent of ripping off the federal government and the US taxpayer. Well, okay, so what is the number? Well, the House Select Subcommittee found that the Treasury Department and SBA failed to institute adequate safeguards to prevent waste, fraud, and abuse in pandemic relief programs, leading to nearly $84 billion in potentially fraudulent loans.
Which I think I recall is like exactly as much as it would cost each year to make public college free for everyone. That's just in
why would we want that when we can, have a program that scammers can take full advantage of with no safeguards to ensure that,
Yeah. Look, it's a demonstration that my fear about stories like this is that they will be picked up and spread by people who want to avoid programs like this in the future, rather than people who want to continue to have the programs because they're necessary, but want to make sure that there are safeguards, there are watchdogs and all of that. We do need that. Like nobody advocating for more bureaucracy or bureaucrats is gonna get like a rousing standing ovation or anything. But these programs can exist and we can afford them if we have people overseeing things like the PPP, similar programs that are longstanding, that are not pandemic specific, and as well the IRS. That's something that a lot of people have been pushing for, including Ro Khanna recently. We do need more of that.
Yes, definitely. I mean, the fact that the IRS is underfunded isn't a great thing for working class people, right? Because what they end up doing with their limited resources is they focus on auditing people who barely make any money.
Who have simpler returns.
Tax returns, exactly. So limited resources mean they can't go after incredibly wealthy individuals who are evading taxes because their taxes are way more complicated and far more difficult to investigate.
Yeah.
You need resources for that. And so Trump knew what he was doing when he cut funding to the IRS, because he is also facing an investigation for evading taxes.
And the Democrats know what they were doing when they never raised those funds, even when they were in unilateral control of the process.
Totally.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.